Every realistic render comes with a question. Where is the light coming from? In this tutorial, I will show you how I transform this simple keyboard model using intentional lighting, composition and camera angles. You will see the exact steps I use from blocking out the scene to shaping light and refining details so you can apply same approach to your product renders. Let's build this shot from the scratch. Alright, so this is the keyboard model I will be working on today. To begin our lighting workflow, the first thing I always focus on is composition. I will start by selecting the model and rotating it to around 75 to 80 degrees, then lifting it slightly upward. Now I am adding a cube. At the moment, it feels a bit small in proportion to the keyboard, so let's scale it up. Around 20 units work well. I will place the cube underneath the keyboard, and next I will add a plane behind the model. This plane will act as a background wall. I will push it slightly backward to create some depth. Now I will select the keyboard again, raise it a bit and fine-tune the rotation. The goal here is to make the keyboard feel like it's hovering above the cube, while also maintaining some distance from the background. This separation helps create better shadows and depth. Next I will adjust the camera. I usually turn on the grid and compose using the rule of thirds, which helps naturally draw the viewer's attention towards the product. Once I am happy with the composition, I will rename this camera as a main camera and lock it down so we don't accidentally lose our framing. Now let's move on to the background material. I will select the background plane and open the material graph. I want the background to feel slightly rough with very subtle scratches, not too noticeable. I am choosing a metal texture for this purpose. First, I will check the scale of the texture. It looks a bit large, so I will scale it down until it feels more natural. I will change the base color to a neutral grey so we can clearly see the surface details. Now I will plug this texture into the bump map. The scratches looks a little too strong, so I will reduce the bump value to around -0.1. That feels much more realistic. Next I will use the same texture for the roughness map and add a color to number node. This gives me control over the black and white values, allowing me to fine-tune how rough or smooth the surface appears. Finally, I will apply this texture to the diffuse channel and give it a subtle color. I will use the same material on the cube as well so everything feels visually consistent. For now this looks good. We can always refine it later after lighting. Let's move on to the lighting. I will start by going to the environment tab and adding an environment texture. This acts as our ambient light and immediately gives the scene a sense of space. Now let's reduce the environment brightness to around 0.16 to keep it subtle. Now I am adding a new light pin. I will reduce the radius and increase the brightness to create a hard light. I will position it above the keyboard so it casts shadows on the cube, almost like light entering from a small opening, similar to a cave effect. This adds drama to the scene. Next I will add a second light pin and increase the fall off so it behaves more like a soft fill light. This helps illuminate the keys, making the letters more readable. I will carefully adjust its position to get clean highlights. Once that looks good, I will duplicate this light and reposition it to softly illuminate the lower keys as well. At this point the background feels a bit flat. I will go back and adjust the roughness value slightly to introduce more highlights and texture detail. I will add another light pin and aim it towards the background. This creates subtle reflections without overpowering the product. The key here is restraint. We want the background to support the keyboard, not compete with it. You can always experiment with light placement depending on the mood you want. For the cube I want stronger contrast, so I will increase the light intensity to around 350. That gives us a nice balance. Now let's refine the camera. I will unlock the main camera and enable depth of field. Let's turn off keep focus and manually set the focus distance to the sharpest focus lands on the middle keys. Let's set up the f-stop to 8, which gives us a natural amount of blur while keeping the product readable. Once done, I lock the camera again. The bottom part of the keyboard feels a little dark, so I will add a plane near the cube and scale it slightly. Let's give it a cool toned color and change the material to emissive, allowing it to emit light. This works like a reflector in real-world photography. Let's carefully position it so the highlights are subtle and stay outside the main composition. One last detail, the cube edges are too sharp. In real life, nothing is perfectly sharp. So I will add a small bevel radius to soften them. Everything looks good, so we are ready for the final render. I will open the render setting and choose a PSD as the output format so we get layered control in post-production. The default layer options are fine. I will set the samples to 500, which gives a clean result without excessive render time. And that's it for the render. The key takeaway here is to think like a photographer. Every decision, light placement, camera angles should support the product and guide the viewer's eye. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and I will see you in the next one.